your talent brand, things like that that are more, a little bit more psychological in nature. So they want to go into something that's a little bit more deep than just, hey, we have this tool, this can help you out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm tending to see. That's why I feel like I get a lot more of the white papers, and I like that stuff because it's broad generalizations or broad, you know, trends or whatever. But it really kind of allows you to say, all right, take this and apply this to you, into your company, into all of that. So
Right. Yeah, and when it's a little, it feels like, and this could be a gross generalization too, but it feels like the people that are generally in those roles are very visual, and they're
mm,
very, they're much more, just in my experience so far, they're much more geared towards like statistics and case studies. And if you're gonna sell me something, like I need some like proof of it. Does that seem pretty
I would agree.
accurate? Yeah.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Yeah, 'cause I think it's you want to kind of see like that's the thing is that even and I'm kind of blending into another question I know you're going to ask, but I did have someone reach out to me a couple weeks ago about a tool, and I was like, no, not like no, like from what you're saying, I'm like this just sounds like some bogus like just oh here's a bunch of names. And the space that I work, life sciences, a lot of the things that people talk about is kind of a like catch all for TA solutions or creative, even some of the really great creative solutions that work in other industries don't work in life sciences because of how we network and different things like that there, or even just the level of positions that we have available. And this person basically went back and was like, well, and I always get feedback. I always say, hey, not relevant to me because of XYZ or whatever. And this person came back to like, actually, here's a screenshot of like all these people I found just for this one particular role you have open right now. I was like, okay, yeah, let's talk, and we're working with them now. So like that visual definitely I think helped kind of sell me on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You've kind of talked about, it sounds like email and LinkedIn are kind of the two main outlets that you do get cold outreach from. Um, and if you're in recruiting or talent acquisition, it's almost like criminal to not be on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
I
that's
don't know how you do it at this point. Yeah,
yeah, like I know a handful of people that really aren't, but it's like interesting. Okay.
yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about cold outreach through LinkedIn and just kind of your overall thoughts on, AEs, SDRs reaching out to you, or staffing agencies. I know you mentioned that too. When people reach out to you through LinkedIn, do you think that is maybe a little more informal or formal version of a cold outreach as compared to email?
I would say that, yeah, because I mean, I know it's not relevant to this conversation necessarily, but I also get a lot more candid cold outreach there of people just saying, I really want to work for your company. Can I talk to you? Or hey, I applied to your position. Consider me, please. So I'm kind of used to that already. So I always read through the things. I will say it tends to be, I don't see an increased level of like personalization from AEs, SDRs when they're reaching out on LinkedIn versus, the email. It does tend to be a little bit shorter, but other than that, it seems it's kind of the same. And I honestly I prefer people to do it on LinkedIn than to do it on you know email because they say something intriguing. I can click on their profile, get information on their company, a lot easier than there's a little bit more searching you have to do. And I'm also at this point very hesitant to click any links in an email at this point. Even I'm like, oh, I really don't want to be on this this mailing list anymore. But is this actually a mailing list, or is this I have to give out everybody's social security numbers in the company?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like LinkedIn's maybe your more preferred method, maybe because again, you're in that field where it's just like you're just on it, like
Yep. Yeah.
that's just a part of it, right?
Exactly.
Is there any particular, I know you talked about white pages or white papers and graphics and stuff like that. Is there any like form of marketing that really resonates with you? And then if you were to put like kind of a generalization of recruiting, talent acquisition, those particular titles, do you think that there's any type of like marketing that really resonates with that particular group of people?
I think it's kind of what I always give advice to my friends when they're looking for jobs. Don't throw out if you can throw out your resume to 500 companies in one day, fine. But especially in you know like my sister just graduated from college a couple of years ago, and I said to her, I'm like, look, you're going to be applying to jobs. There's probably going to be 100, 200, 300 people applying. write a really good cover letter. And I used to hate cover letters, but like for me, I've had positions before where, we've had 100, 200, 300 people, and it's like, all right, well, 100 of them don't meet the qualifications. They're the minimum qualifications. They're out. Okay, now we whittle it down to the preferred, and that's now we're down to only 50 people. Well, how do we get from 50 to 20 to screen or something like that? And then you look at like the cover letter and see who wrote something that really stands out. And again, like it's not that those other 30 people couldn't do the job. There are a ton of people in that pool that could have done the job, but it's really trying to dig into that extra level of effort. And to the sales pitch piece of it, I have template emails that I reach out to for people, but I always try to make that follow up. If I can, I make it really personalized, or if I'll make something really personalized, like in the follow up or something like that, and that goes a long way. When people do say like, "Hey, look, this is something I looked into Halloran, or I see you guys are growing like this. Have you thought about this, that, the other thing?" And just really like kind of personalizing it. So I think whether it be people who I say no to and they keep in touch with me and they keep sending me those resources, because yeah, obviously like if a vendor is sending out a white paper, yes, it's for the betterment of the whole community, but it's also going to tie back to, okay, so we talked about how there's a lot of ghosting, and here's our communication platform that shows less drop off or something like that. Like I get it's going to tie back to that, but showing how you can tie something that's a bigger problem, either in the industry or with Halloran, to something that you all can do is something that's really, really resonates with me, because it makes it easier for me to advocate for the cost for that to the people above me, who, like for me, I am the senior most TA person in my company. I report into our CFO, and her background is finance and HR. She never did TA. So she really looks to me to be like, all right, what are, like I have to educate her, and I love it. And she's amazing with, really leaning into all of that. But it is something where when you have this to be able to say, here's something for you to react to, because she's a visual person, then it helps, to be able to say, all right, here's kind of the loss, the opportunity cost, all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, and that's the thing too, is like if you're not a VP, or if you're not a, the CEO or CFO, if you're
Right.
not a C level, it's like it's tough because you're having to go through some of those different levels of, what's gonna resonate for them, and then what's gonna work for this person. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. So last question here. If you were to give, and actually kind of two questions into one, if you were to give advice to, let's do this one first. So if you were to give advice to salespeople or marketers that are reaching out and targeting that TA, TM recruiting kind of niche, what would be some of, if you had any advice for them when it comes to cold outreach, reaching out to that particular group of people, what would it be?
Stand out. I mean, that's the thing, is like you get a lot of it every day. I remember the people who are a little weird, because I'm a little weird. So like I like the kind of unique outreach. But also I think that the long-term relationship building piece is huge, because I literally have a folder full of vendors who I've talked to who I'm like, this isn't right for right now, but I genuinely mean it. Like I'm gonna follow up with them. And some of those folks I haven't been able to reach out to a month, 2 months, 6 months. I'm literally emailing with one of them now, who's become like a mentor for some stuff that I'm doing. And I had to tell her no for like a year,
Mm-hmm.
between all of that. So I think if folks kind of keep that relationship going, I try to do it with my candidates as well. That's something that the good recruiters are going to appreciate that. And yeah, is it going to lead to 100% conversion rate? No, but kind of continuing that, building that own personal brand, I think will benefit that person, not only in their current role and hitting their quotas and nurturing those relationships for long term, but also if they move to a different organization or something like that, or if they move up and they need to, who's an easy account for me to pass off? Okay, it's these guys who really know me well. So I think that would be something I would just say is, being really focused on the long term, and standing out, through that or through a myriad of other ways is really going to help. I think you stand out to TA folks whose email inboxes are just like bombarded all day. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? And then kind of the follow-up question on that, I think this would be great information for people who, a lot of people don't have a job right now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so as a recruiter, in TA, TM, sorry, I keep calling you a recruiter, similar thing,
That's
right?
right.
But
Oh, no, yeah.
yeah. And so
You didn't say HR, so that's fine.
bingo. Yeah. But what advice would you give somebody who, maybe right now is looking for a job and doesn't want to take a pay cut, obviously, and doesn't, wants to get what they're worth and all those types of things. It's a massive discussion on LinkedIn right now. What would be some advice? Like, what would, if you could give like 2 to 3 things, what would you say? I know you mentioned cover letter, so we'll count that. So if you can give like 2 more things, what would you tell people that are looking for something right now?
Yeah, so I think that definitely one thing I really love is when folks reach out to me on LinkedIn and say that, that they, because again, like when you apply on LinkedIn, you can send a message to the recruiter that's assigned to the posting. And it's like, based on my experience, does this, I think I'd be a great fit. Are you open to a call to discuss the conversation? Again, that's something that, like, yeah, that's an extra step that some people don't do, but it's also like, that's a template email, like, write it, like, I love it when people reach out and like say a little something else. And I respond to, every single one of them. So it's putting in that little extra layer of effort that, yeah, the cover letters can be part of it, the personalized outreach to the recruiter, or even just reaching out to someone who's on that team and saying, hey, look, like, I saw that there's an open regulatory role. I noticed that you're working regulatory at Halloran. Can I just like pick your brain about what you know about this position? Like, I'll send, we can do like a virtual coffee or something like that. And I think that that's something that we had somebody who she's a rock star, but on paper she wouldn't have gotten the job. But she talked to someone, she found someone who was in a similar group at Halloran, that they both gone to the same place for undergrad. She's reached out, she's like, can I just pick your brain about working at this company? You've been here for a while. Like, I want to know how much you like it. And I talked to her, I'm like, yeah, you're not like the mold, but you have a lot of really cool stuff. And we're hiring 2 people anyway. So we hire someone else who fits the mold. We can take a risk for this one. So I think finding ways to connect with folks and get your name in front of it, because especially, a lot of companies now are starting to do more of the junior level hiring, which is amazing, and where I want to, any company I work for to go to. But that means there's just so many people. Like, we open up an operations assistant role, and we've got like 300, 400, 500 applicants in a couple of days. And so it's really being able to find those little subtle ways to stand out, and to get yourself in front of it. And also, by having you in front of all these other people who aren't maybe typically involved in talent acquisition activities, you're having someone else in the company who's a champion for you. TA tends to be really underfunded in a lot of companies, so it's not putting all this burden on this one person who might be just slammed. And let's be very frank, some people are in TA just to, like, it's not a passion of theirs, so they really don't care about the follow-up. The candidate ghosting is disgusting and horrible. And so if you have somebody else who's asking about your candidacy, then if the recruiter goes dark on you, then you can reach out to that other person and be like, hey, what's happening here? And I've
Yeah.
seen that help people in my life, like my sister, another sister, she works at a company, and one of her friends is getting ghosted, and reached out to, her friend's referral, whatever, and reached out to her about it. And she was able to like get an update from the hiring manager, who was like, wait, no, I want to move forward with them, but the TA person just had a foot out the door, basically. So it
Right.
helps you to have, to kind of work around these things or work with these things in a way that allows you to, elevate yourself.